It's Friday, April 28th, 2023. Well, another very, very nice rally on Wall Street today. A rally based on absolutely nothing but more bad economic news and more banking issues. Very serious banking problems right now in the U.S. as First Republic Bank is looking as though it may collapse. Today, shares of First Republic Bank closed at $2.68. 6 weeks ago, they were $120 a share. Today, $2.68. They need a rescue. They need a rescue very, very quickly. The stock was actually halted multiple times because of volatility. The FDIC is asking other banks for potential bids. This bank's in big trouble, ladies and gentlemen. And so we're watching the Dow Jones up 275 today, NASDAQ up nearly 90 points, markets across the board up, while we have the 14th largest bank in the U.S. looking as though it may collapse. I don't know. Is the Fed going to bail them out? They're talking that the FDIC is going to take it into receivership. This bank, big trouble. And they're going to take sizable losses if they're forced to sell assets. And we're going to see more problems because many of these banks are invested in what? They're invested in commercial real estate. They made horrible auto loans, horrible RV loans, horrible real estate loans. And there's going to be a price to pay here. And so we have SVB. Now we have another big bank here, First Republic. And so are they going to get bailed out like SVB? Comment down below. Let me know what your thoughts are and what is going to happen to this bank. No matter what happens, we're going to pay for this one way or the other. And it is another canary in the coal mine, ladies and gentlemen, to what is happening to the U.S. economy. Just think how many banks now we have seen in crisis right here in the U.S. and across the globe, Credit Suisse. And things are not getting better. And so we're going to see more banking problems, more banking issues. And it is telling you and I that this whole thing is just a giant Ponzi scheme. You know, a friend of mine, John, a couple days ago, we were just talking about the markets. And he said, you know, remember that car, the Cadillac Cimarron? And I said, I sure do. It was a Chevy Cavalier, a little piece of junk. And so Cadillac basically took a Chevy Cavalier, put a Cadillac emblem on it, and called it a Cadillac Cimarron. And it was just a piece of junk. And that's, I think, kind of what we're doing now with the stock market, that we're just basically putting an emblem on it and calling it a Cadillac when it's just a Chevy Cavalier. It's a piece of garbage. And so if we just tell everybody it's a Cadillac, everybody will believe it. If we just tell everybody the consumer is strong, that everything's okay, the economy's recovering, people will believe it. But this is going to be very, very hard to convince people of because the average Joe now is getting into some serious trouble here. Can't pay utility bills, falling behind on rent, can't make the mortgage payment, having the car repoed. And here's another article today from Bloomberg. Harley-Davidson says repo shortage is fueling credit losses. Harley-Davidson said Thursday its credit losses in the first quarter were due in part to a shortage of repossession agents. Companies that specialize in seizing vehicles are having trouble hiring enough agents. Now get this, Harley-Davidson saw credit losses of $52.6 million in the first quarter, due in part because of the shortage of repo agents and the decline in retail bike values. So people who tell us everything is okay, I reported months ago that we're seeing 15,000 auto repos a day in America. And now Harley-Davidson repoing a lot of motorcycles. And so prices are coming down. They're going to come down. And this is just going to spiral right into housing where people just cannot afford those huge monthly mortgage payments, and so they're going to lose their homes. And what happens after that? You begin to see a housing market crash. You begin to see prices coming down. Just like we're going to see prices of motorcycles coming down, prices of cars coming down, prices of housing coming down, prices of commercial real estate coming down. It's all going to come down, and it's not going to have a choice, ladies and gentlemen, because these markets are cracking. And when you have Harley-Davidson saying that they have credit losses, and partially to blame is repo agents because they can't get the motorcycles back that people are not paying on. Think about where we're at right now. And now Harley-Davidson in the mix here. Unbelievable. People cannot afford the toys. And if you can't afford a motorcycle at this point, ladies and gentlemen, how do you afford a house? How do you afford to buy a house? How do you afford to continue to keep your house and pay that monthly mortgage payment if you can't even keep your motorcycle? Again, all you have to do is connect the dots here and see how bad things are spiraling out of control. CNBC, where the trucking and rail recession is showing up in the economic data. This is very interesting. Truck drivers in California right now are being laid off. Isn't it amazing? A year ago, 2 years ago, the country needed so many truck drivers. Every day I'm watching the financial channels and all these companies begging for truck drivers. Don't have enough. The U.S. needs more truck drivers. Now the truck drivers are being laid off due to the lack of container volume. Overall, ocean bookings for cargo headed to the U.S. are down. Movement of freight from warehouses to stores is slowing, and this week's GDP report showed investment in inventory declined in the first quarter as fewer firms restocked. So less product is coming to the U.S., and why is that? Is it being purposely done? Is China purposely not sending as much to the U.S., or is it the demand is much lower? The average consumer now is forced to buy less, and so companies are not restocking like they were. They're not buying as much, and so now truck drivers being laid off. So there's going to be big trouble for freight companies. And again, it's just a sign of the times, another canary in the coal mine, that this economy is shutting down. This economy collapsed a while ago, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody wants to admit that, but it's going to be very, very hard to cover it up. But we have no doubt sacrificed the U.S. economy for the stock market, but the stock market's going to meet its maker one day here very, very soon also. It's going to go down too. We're going to see stocks, bonds, housing, commercial real estate all take the plunge. And, you know, to the people out there that think that sales aren't coming, I think you're completely wrong. I think huge sales are coming in commercial real estate, residential real estate, in the auto market, in land. I think a lot of things are going to be sell. At the same time, I think there's going to be specific things, commodities, food, energy, things of that nature that are going to continue to be more expensive. So it's going to be a very interesting time of deflation and inflation taking place at the same time. California bans the sale of new diesel trucks by 2036. This is on CNBC today. Today, California regulators voted to ban the sale of new diesel big rigs by 2036. So this is more good news for the trucking industry. You can kiss the trucking industry in California goodbye here. It's unbelievable what California is doing, what it's doing to chase out business, what it's doing to hurt the citizen here, what it's doing to hurt small business here, large businesses. California, it's just, I don't have words to explain, but it's like a controlled demolition of the California economy. And really, it's a controlled demolition of the U.S. economy. We're watching a full-blown controlled demolition of the entire U.S. economy. And California, they cannot destroy the economy here fast enough, forcing people to leave. People who have good jobs, companies, factories, leaving California to go somewhere else. They're killing us with taxes, all these bans, all these regulations. It's just incredible. Anybody staying in California, I don't know why you would. And I know a lot of people think I should just move tomorrow and that it's that easy and that I should pay way more than I should for a home in the South. I'm not going to do that. But there is no doubt that I must exit the state of California, and I will do that. There's no way I can stay here. I can't afford to stay in the state of California, and you don't know what they're going to pass next. I mean, they're going to try to pass a law to where they're going to charge you if you leave the state of California, that you're going to have to pay some kind of exit tax. So it's I think a topic that a lot of people, a lot of families are talking about now, and that is the exodus of California and leaving California. They have destroyed this once beautiful state. The hedge, Capital One expects recession by year end, hammered by bad debt provisions. So much for the strong consumer, so much for the strength of the consumer. Capital One CEO Richard Fairbank pointed out the delinquency rate for customers at least 30 days late on payment rose 134 basis points to 3.66%, and it's going to get much worse. We are assuming a material worsening of labor markets with unemployment rising, he says. The average Joe is now really beginning to feel the pain. And while the average Joe is feeling the pain, it's interesting. We have Stagecoach out here this year, I think the biggest country concert in America or the world. 125,000 people, I think, coming out here. 3-day pass, $750. Motel 6 is charging, I think, $600 a night. And yet people are just, spending money like it's water. And hey, have a great time. Put balance in your life. I believe that you have to have some balance in your life. Enjoy life. But it's shocking that most people will say that they have no gold or silver because they can't afford it, yet they'll spend $750 for a 3-day pass. They have no cash reserve, but they'll spend $350 or $750 for a 3-day pass to come to a country concert, drink a lot of beer, and hopefully don't end up in the emergency room tonight. It's 105 degrees out. So people, they come out here from all over the country. It's 105 today. People will be partying hard all day, drinking booze, and landing up in the emergency room. So, we can all make choices. We can all do what we want to do. God bless you if you want to go and party and listen to country music. I have nothing against that. But, if you have no money saved up, if you have no assets, why in the world would you be doing that? And so many people will be driving out here in their leased cars or their 7-year car payments, running up the credit cards to pay for a $600 a night Motel 6. Some of these rooms are over $1,000 now. People coming out here with their fifth wheelers and their campers, also financed for 10 or 15 years. Everything is just so debt fueled, and people just don't get it. They just don't see it. And I know a lot of you ask the same thing. You see the RVs, the big trucks, the campers, people going to these big events, spending money hand over fist, spending just hundreds of dollars in fuel just to get here, or more, depending on where they come from. And you just think nothing's wrong because people are out spending and having a good time and drinking beer all day and driving, $100,000 trucks, pulling, a beautiful, $100,000, fifth wheel behind it. And you just think everything's okay. I'm here to tell you, not everything is okay. Much of this, not all, there's people out there with deep pockets with a lot of cash that can fly out here in a private jet and party all weekend at a concert, or they can come out here with a beautiful RV or fifth wheel, pulling it with a F450, all tricked out, and all paid in cash, no problem. But the majority of people, 90+% of those people, have no money saved up for retirement. They have no assets. They have a net worth that's in the negative, and yet the party goes on. And see, this is really going to be the demise of this country. And this is the difference between China and America. Today, here in America, people live for today. They don't think about tomorrow. They'll worry about tomorrow down the road. China thinks 100 years ahead. They're willing to make sacrifices right now. They're willing to feel some pain to become the world superpower. They're willing to do whatever it takes. And here in America, people aren't even willing to admit that there's a problem. They're not even willing to even make a small sacrifice in their life because they cannot give up the party. They cannot give up the luxuries. They cannot give up the lifestyle. And if you can't do that, I have really bad news for you. You're going to pay a very, very serious price here down the road. And I think a lot of people are just so addicted to the good times and to living over their heads, living beyond their means. They have to have, a certain zip code. They have to drive a certain car. They have to have the toys. And it's not a matter of how much it costs. It's a matter of can they make the payment. When they have the boat, they don't care how much the boat costs. The boat's $80,000, $100,000, but what's the payment? Can I make the monthly payment? Same thing with the house. Doesn't matter how much the house costs. Can you make the monthly payment? People just look at the monthly payment. And these people are going to be strangled by monthly payments. And I think the average Joe now is beginning to feel the suffocation of what's taking place. And this is where the sales are going to come from, ladies and gentlemen. The people driving the big trucks, the big RVs, who financed all this stuff for 10, 15 years, living off credit cards, living off debt. And sooner or later, it's going to bite them. And when it does, fire sales, no doubt about it. So if you're looking to get something on sale, save up your cash, ladies and gentlemen, and pay cash for this stuff because the sales are coming. And, even though cash is being absolutely annihilated daily, it is still going to have some amount of purchasing power. The Hedge, city of Asheville, this I believe is in North Carolina, trapped in crime crisis, prepares to impose 60-day safety initiative. This city, 3 years ago, had 30 police officers. Today, it has 16 to 18 police officers. And they're seeing a huge increase in property and violent crime in the city. And I bring this article up because you're probably seeing it in your city. We're seeing it out here in our valley here. It's getting really, really bad, and it's very obvious. You cannot hide the amount of crime that is taking place. Everybody knows somebody who's been affected by some sort of crime. And I was watching some videos yesterday on YouTube on road rage. And there was a gentleman who just lost his life a few days ago in New York. Seemed like a hardworking guy. Looked like he had a really nice family. And an individual driving while intoxicated at night with no lights on hits his car. And he's upset that he hit this gentleman's car. The gentleman got out, didn't want any problems. And the driver of the other car who was intoxicated, his girlfriend was there. She was under the influence of a narcotic, driving with no headlights on, no insurance, etc. He's so upset that he committed an accident that he attacked the innocent driver and beat him to death. And so more and more of these videos were popping up on YouTube of road rage incidents where people were being assaulted or killed. And it is real. I mean, I am blown away with what I am seeing. We just actually had an incident out here last week where somebody threw a bottle through another driver's window because this driver wouldn't let him over. So they threw a bottle through his window, shattering his rear window of his SUV. So be cautious out there. You don't know who you're dealing with. This individual also had a very, very long criminal history. And it's just not worth it. Avoid confrontation at all costs, but be ready to deal with it too at all costs, because you may not be able to walk away, run away, or drive away. But so many people making these videos, and I watch a lot of videos daily, and so many people, again, talking about preparations, and you should have some cash, you should have some medals. They never talk about security. Security isn't a flashlight. Security isn't a cell phone. Security isn't an alarm system. Security is having the correct tools and tactics in case you can't get away or walk away, or somebody breaches that alarm system and those cameras and gets in through that front door of your house. What do you do then? You're on your own. And I know that this is very uncomfortable for a lot of people to think about, but just watching those videos yesterday of what could happen just driving home from the grocery store, driving home from work, what could happen? Little kids losing their lives, women losing their lives. You really have to be alert with what is going on. We are living in a very sadistic, evil time, ladies and gentlemen, and there's no doubt that we are in a spiritual war here of good versus evil. Anybody that could just hurt an innocent person or child or woman and just take their life because they committed an accident And it wasn't even the other driver's fault. It was the guilty person's fault, and they end up taking the life of an innocent person who didn't even commit the accident, or hurting kids. It's unbelievable, the evil out there. It really is. So, make sure that you exercise situational awareness while you're out, while you're at your home. Make sure that you continue to work tactics. Make sure you have the right tools, and that you continue to walk very, very close to God. This is just unbelievable, an unbelievable time, an uncertain time. I've never seen anything like this. I pray to God that some type of miracle happens and this goes away, but I have a feeling that it's not going to go away. I have a very, very distraught feeling that this is going to get much, much worse. So everybody out there can tell us that the answer is saving cash and making sure that you have some cash at home and some precious metals at home and some emergency food. That's not going to cut it, ladies and gentlemen. There are a lot of people out there that would just take it from you and not even think twice. They would take your life and not even think twice. If people can run around these cities and commit chaos right now for entertainment, if they can just take somebody's life for you blowing your horn at them or not letting you cut over a lane, if they could take your life for that, imagine what they're going to do when they get hungry. Imagine what they're going to do when they really get angry, when the government checks stop, when the food stamps stop, when the grocery store shelves are empty, when the dollar isn't buying anything. Imagine what these people are capable of doing if they can do this to an individual right now, just because you blew your horn or you didn't let them cut over a lane. Or maybe you looked at somebody funny. I don't know. People right now, I mean, are escalating things unlike we've ever seen before. I mean, the police out here talk about it all the time. The escalation that they see for just pulling somebody over for a simple ticket, they're willing to go, fisticuffs or even worse. They get a call to a house for a domestic dispute. People are willing to go right to a gun and have a shootout with the police over an argument. It's unbelievable. So think about what somebody is willing to do to you and what they're going to be willing to do if they get hungry and desperate. If the food stamps stop, inflation gets worse, and they lose more and more purchasing power. We continue to see more food shortages, and food prices get so high that people can't afford to buy food, or the shelves are just empty. Either way, there's no food for these people. What would these people do in order to eat? And of course, they're going to be very angry at somebody who is eating. So be careful out there, ladies and gentlemen. There are some really bad people out there who don't give two what's about you or your family. And they would come to your house in a heartbeat to take what you have. And they're thinking about doing that right now. And if times get any worse than they are, we're going to continue to see more and more of this. It's not going to just be on the roadsides. It's going to be people coming to your door, coming to your house. They don't care. They have no respect for law. They have no respect for you. They have no respect for human life. So you better get in gear, get your security in order. I cannot stress that enough. Again, these people who just think it's going to be about how much silver and how much cash and how cheap houses are going to get. That's great. We know that. But what they don't ever talk about is what is going to happen socially and how you should be preparing for it socially. That's why I say you better get in better mental, physical, spiritual, and financial shape. And you better have some tactics. You better have some tools, and you better have a mindset that things could get really, really squirrely, really, really fast. And just like the city of Asheville, there's no cop coming to your house in 5 minutes to save you. You will be on your own. Your family will be on its own. So you better think about right now, what would you do if somebody breached that door and got into your house and wanted to hurt your family? What would you do? Are you prepared? Are you prepared to deal with it? Do you have the correct tools to deal with it? Do you have the mindset to deal with it? Again, scary times. I know this will trigger some people, but people better wake up because this is going to get really, really ugly. Have a good weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Take the weekend. Do a little training. Take the weekend. Maybe get to the range. Take the weekend. Maybe stock up on a little bit more food and water. Take the weekend to at least ponder and think a little bit about where this is all going and just how bad it could get. I don't think any of us can imagine how bad this could get and how quickly it could get there. God bless all of you. Please make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe. Hit the bell notification down below so that you're alerted when the newest videos drop. Share these videos everywhere. Have a good weekend. Prepare, prepare, prepare.